to the Node.js Foundation Security Working Group meeting for March 22nd, 2018. In attendance today, we have myself, Colin Ehrig, Michael Dawson, Reed Loden, David Gonzalez, and Bryce Barrow. And Nikita has joined us. Does anyone have anything that they want to announce before we get started with the agenda? All right. So went through the GitHub issue for this earlier, and we were able to actually eliminate about 75% of the agenda because it was just kind of outdated. So the first thing is then issue 115, which is the machine-friendly vulnerability database. David, do you want to give us an update on this?
Yes, so I have created and published NPM package. I think Nikita is using it for one open source module. So what I have done is basically two packages. One is the vulnerabilities database, which is pretty much a dump of what it is in the GitHub repository into a separate NPM package. And now it exports the dir name, so we can access the vulnerabilities NPM or core by the exported values on the module. And then another module that I have, which pretty much what it does is automates the vulnerability pooling and publishing. So it basically goes into the Node.js working group, gets the vulnerabilities, and then updates the package, which has the vulnerabilities holding in it. So that's available. I have the GitHub repositories in my GitHub account. I can share that in the chat. And yeah, it needs some work, but it's working.
So in terms of the machine-friendly vulnerability databases, I guess the discussion in that issue was around like, is there anything that we need to change or do differently in the repo here to support that?
Yep, please go ahead.
Well, one question I had is like the purpose of this. So there's already like NSP that's done by the Node Security Project. However, they have their kind of proprietary API backing it. Is the concern then that we're basically wanting to create something that's completely open and that doesn't require some third-party API to work?
I mean,
I'm just trying to understand like what the end goal is here versus the existing tooling that already exists.
So the aim is, on my opinion, or what I am using the vulnerabilities for, is I wrote a small scanner. It's in Golang, so I ship that into my containers. And what happens is at runtime, the containers eval all the file system looking for packages which might be faulty. So the thing is, when I started this, I wasn't even part of this group, so I couldn't even find a standard for the file format for the vulnerability. So I knew it was a JSON and I knew it was some sort of a standard. But the thing is, the end goal for me is settle down the format and make sure that it's not going to change once we are happy with that format. So it's not only me, it's like everyone can be consuming these vulnerabilities, Sneak, Node Security, whoever wants can pull the vulnerabilities from GitHub and embed them into their database. Make sense?
Yeah, so again, I think it comes down to, in the end, you're just trying to standardize the format and the tooling around it to make that database. So like what I would compare this to is the RubySec has a Ruby advisory database that is JSON stuff. And so you're basically just ensuring the same thing is available.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. One thing to keep in mind too is just because there's a lot of people already using like NSP as for doing scanning and stuff. So maybe there's some kind of way to have it use this database instead, or stand up some kind of API that handles this. I don't know, but it's just something to think about that.
Yeah, we definitely need to think about that. Yes, for sure. Yep.
I just hate for there to be like multiple ways for developers. Like there should be the right way for developers to go about scanning their stuff, and like there are different ways to interact with data. I think that's fine, but like you don't want multiple databases. That just gets messy.
No, exactly. We just want a unique source of truth. One of the concerns I have, for example, is if I want to scan one package, for example, let's say Express, the problem is that I need to go through all the collection of files scanning because the name of the file does not correlate to the name of the package. So it's really hard to guess. You need to do a full scan of all the vulnerabilities. Say that you can always process them and save them in a database, but it's one of the things. Like, as it is right now, it's working fine. I'm using it for an open source project, which is called Gamma Ray, and it's working like a charm. So,
have you taken a look at Retire.js as well?
No, not yet. No.
I would recommend taking a look at that one as well. I think it's github.com/retire.js. They have specific things around. They have a node module where they scan your source code looking for vulnerable JavaScript. So it could be something interesting as well.
Yep, it is definitely.
So I guess it sounds like you have what you want to get working now. Is there sort of, in terms of next steps or things that this group needs to think about? What's there that's or is it basically you're happy and you've got what you need?
Me, I'm like the main problem I have is that if the format is settled, I'm happy with that because once you process the JSON files, it's fine. Storing them or doing the scanning online is just a matter of whoever consumes them. But what I will be worried about is that we keep piling up the third-party JSON files of vulnerabilities, and then in 2 years' time or in 1 year time, we decide to change the format, and it won't be like it will be few people using this format. So it will be a huge task more than what it is right now. So the idea is that if we are happy with this format, fine. If we don't, I think we should change it as soon as possible to avoid breaking the world in the near future.
Right. So I guess in my mind, the key question is are there people who have specific concerns with what's there already? And if there is, then that's, I guess, what the discussion should be. It's like, these things are going to cause problems, and should we change now versus later, right? So it's like, how would we get that discussion? Is that something that, you have some concerns about the format, you want to say, these are the ones that are problematic? Or is it, now that you've worked with it, you say, seems okay, we can just continue as we are?
It seems okay to me. Like, as I said, my take will be being able to look into the files by a package name, which is totally possible right now, but you need to process all the files and aggregate them in a database. Not a big deal, and I think it's good that we have the ID indexed JSONs. Dates seems to be a bit inconsistent across different JSONs. Again, not a big deal because you can always factor in the dates, but we should lock down the format and the time zone as well. Well, the format, which includes the time zone. But so far, everything else looks perfect. I actually executed today the scanner across against an application that I'm using at work, and with the latest, even with the latest update, nothing is broken, so it's perfect.
So I mean, I bet you to date, the new entry, certainly like if I'd create a new entry, I've copied one of the old ones. And so the date or whatever might end up being whatever the previous one is. It would seem to me that it would be good to go through and fix up the ones that are inconsistent.
Yeah.
And to define, maybe we need a document that says, here's what the format is, as opposed to just an example. So if we had a volunteer to do either of those two things, those would probably be good things to get done.
I can. Yep.
I was just going to add, I think Vladimir did something like this. He had like a pull request that I don't think ever landed. It was using joy validation. You might want to check with him first before somebody goes off and works on that from scratch.
Yeah. Yeah, if not, I have all the coding that parses the files and pulls them. So I can do two things. I can standardize them, and I can also add CI to make sure that the new files are compliant with the format. So I will check with Vladimir first. Yeah.
Because, that would be the best. If you basically could say, let's run this CI, and yep, that looks good, then land it. That would help.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just taking a look right now at some of the files, and definitely I could see things that we want to figure out standardizing. Like there's mention of like CVSS. Well, CVSS has different versions, and so that's not taken into account like which version a score is referring to. References seems to not be consistent on certain things. So yeah, so having some kind of like standardized format, you can still have free form text fields for things, but having the standardized things and having just linting, mapping, enforcing that would be great.
Yeah.
Okay, so the notes that I took is, David's going to check with Vladimir to see what he's already done. And then after that, he's volunteering to sort of standardize the data we have, document it, and then add some CI. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like a great. And I assume this issue, it looks to me like this issue was closed, right?
Yeah, I close it
Okay.
because I reached the kind of like the conclusion I wanted to reach, which it is basically makes sense. But yeah, like we need to standardize the file. So yeah.
So you might just open a new issue to cover that work, but
yeah, I'm doing it right now.
Yep, sounds good.
And what was the conclusion again? Sorry, I just found out that my microphone was muted.
I think it's like we're not necessarily going to change anything in the format, but David's going to look to, the places where the data isn't consistent, fix that, and then document what the format is. And I guess, as part of that documentation, we may, we can review that. And if there are changes we need to do, that's a place you can handle that. And then add CI to make sure that when we submit new ones, we're conforming to that.
Yes, yeah. I think that the geo validation was mentioned earlier today, and I checked that validation out, and it kind of works. So I think that it's almost ready. And about the NSP and this data set, doesn't NSP check by making HTTP requests to their API?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but that seems like it would make the most sense.
Yeah.
And a database usable offline and consumable by npm packages would be highly usable, I think. In fact, I just checked what does required.js do. Required.js maintains their own copy of this database in another form. I can send a link in the chat if you want. This looks to be a source from perhaps even our repository.
Yes, this is.
It has the recent additions, so it's not just from NSP.
So we have them aggregated here by package, which is very handy.
If you look at Ruby Advisory Database, they do their all by the package names, and so you basically have all the package names, and then under it, or the gem names in that case, and then under it you have individual vulnerabilities, and they use like CVs or OSVDB identifiers, but you could still use the unique IDs under it. But I think that could be one way of modifying the database, is that going ahead and adding that the extra folder step of the package names, just to make it easier to track, like, okay, all these vulnerabilities deal with this particular package.
Yep.
I just checked the git log for that file that I linked. It looks like they manually add entries to it, and something like a consumable npm package database from us could be helpful to, for example, them. Also, it's helpful for the tool time building. So I like the current format. The only concern that I have is that perhaps it should be moved to the org and should be managed by some common account because I don't want this to have a bus factor one, sorry. So I think that David mentioned moving that package to the under the management of the security working group earlier. Is that correct?
Yeah, I am happy to move it. Like, I have no problem with that.
So, Michael, how could we do that?
So moving the package under the Node Foundation. The first step is to add in the governance data that is the same in the other packages, so the license, the contributing, those kinds of things. And then basically open an issue in the TSC repo, I think in this case, just saying, we'd like to move this over. And, unless there's objections, then that can be moved over after that.
Yep.
But the sort of key thing is just get the governance in so people can see that it'll be consistent with the rest of the repos, and then open the issue. And
I think the majority is there. I will check, and if not, I will add the governance data. And okay. Yeah, I'm happy to move it.
Okay. Is there anything else that we still need to discuss on this issue, or can we move on?
I think that's all.
Okay. So the next issue is issue number 54, implement process for management of third-party vulnerabilities. So this one was actually added to the agenda back in November. It seems to have stalled out a little bit. We don't have Liren here. It doesn't look like. So I guess unless anyone else has an update on this, should we just move on?
Yeah, I would suggest we leave it till next time when Loren's around, because I think he was trying to reach out to Sam, and if you manage to get a hold of him, we might have an update, and if not, we'll need to figure out who would run with the things that remain. So yeah, agreed. For this week, let's just move on.
Okay, and that brings us to the last item, which is issue number 49. Which is a bug bounty program. So my impression was that Miles had taken this to the board and that we were in good shape. Again, we don't have Liren here for an update. Does anyone else have anything that they want to talk about for this?
Yeah, I can jump in here. The question I have then really comes down to, so we could launch a separate program on HackerOne that just IBB focus for Node.js, or if it turns out that Node.js moving over to HackerOne for managing core vulnerabilities is going to happen soon, it probably makes sense to just wait for that and then just launch it all at the same time as one program. Otherwise, I have to merge things later, and it's a mess there. So I'm just kind of understanding the timeline on when Node.js Core would want to actually start using HackerOne proper for vulnerabilities.
So I think that has kind of gotten underway a little bit. At least Vladimir was trying to coordinate it. I'm not sure what the exact status of it is right now, though.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly from the discussion, I don't think there was universal, let's just do it. So I think we need Vladimir to say how much has he progressed the conversations with any of the individuals since that, or not to know.
When I was talking to Miles several weeks ago, one of the things that he brought up, the only thing that he brought up that was seemed to be a blocker was that some people were mentioning they couldn't get two-factor authentication enabled, and that was just because it was still in sandbox mode. I fixed that, and so I wasn't aware of any other blockers, but if there are particular things that people have concerns about, I would love to hear that.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I think it's best if you get the full thing through Vladimir, but I know that Miles was supporting it for sure, but a few of the other people were like, well, email seems to just work fine. This just makes things more complicated. And there was a bit of the discussion on the proponents were pointing out the the transparency you can get by then being able to make the issues fully open afterwards and stuff like that. But there was still a bit of a conversation going around on that front.
Okay, well, hopefully we can hear back from Vladimir soon and
Yeah.
see what's going on there.
So yeah, I my recommendation would be to sync with him, but then take a call on whether you think it's worth waiting for that or not, right?
Okay.
Like it may be worth just saying, okay, well, that's not going to be decided in 1 week or something, so let's move forward with the other approach, even if you have to merge later.
Okay, sounds good.
I think on the bug bounty, like I don't think we went to the board because we didn't need to. There's no funding or anything, but it's approved and it's moving forward. I know Loran was PRing in, mentions of it and so forth on our sites. I guess from your side, Reed, is there anything else that was needed from us before that just becomes live?
No, but the thing that brought this up is that he's linking to /Node.js as the project on HackerOne, which is generally which would be the actual core Node.js project.
Okay.
Versus one like I would have created a separate one, or I have created a separate one just for the IBB stuff, and then I would merge those later. However, I could also just use that one. Again, it's just it's a fuzzy line there because like I know y'all, at least for a good number of folks, do want to move that over, but there seems to be some hesitancy too, and so I'm trying to find out what the middle ground is that doesn't cause a lot of work later and doesn't confuse people later.
Right, and so does the bug bounty. Okay, because it's basically the bug bounty points to a particular link as to where to report
correct
vulnerabilities.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so the in the text that I saw Liren modifying, it was like almost the hey, you should report your vulnerabilities here, which is why I was very confused and like, wait, I didn't know that the core team had approved this yet. So I just wanted to get proper clarification on that.
Yeah, do you have the issue? Because that'd be worth taking a look at.
Whatever the pull request is on.
Let's see. So is it in the security working group one, the README? Yeah, okay, let's take a look at
169.
Okay. Sorry, because I didn't get that subtlety when I was looking at it. So
well, maybe it was not this one. Maybe it was the one that they were modifying to the website. Hold on, let me try to see. Maybe things have changed since the last time I looked at this.
it does say this program is managed through the HackerOne platform at https HackerOne/Node.js.
I was reading something else. I'm trying to remember. Was there another pull request to like the Node.js website that maybe had some stuff?
There's possibly something over there. Like because I did suggest that the place on the website that might be useful to add it is near where we have the where to report.
Again,
like
go ahead.
Is this particular text problematic? Like, is that
I
link?
think that one's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
It was. I saw something else though. Maybe not. But it was. I thought I had seen something else that was like, wait, this seems a little weird. I just want to make sure. Like, again, from my point of view, I don't care, but it's want to make sure that y'all are just on board, and so it doesn't confuse people, and that you don't have the core security team complaining like, hey, why are people now sending their stuff to HackerOne directly, blah, blah, blah.
No, absolutely. We want to avoid that if there's gonna be any confusion.
I don't think with that particular text, but maybe one of the original iterations of it.
Okay.
So it looks like what has been changed to now seems okay.
Okay, good. Okay, so it sounds like, other than the separate issue, like this issue is probably pretty much ready to be closed, right?
I just want to again clarify with Vladimir as far as timing wise and see what makes sense there. And then if it turns out to be that it'll be a while on the core stuff, then I would just the pull request 169, I would change the URL to be something slightly different. I created a team that's just IBB-Node.js. And then it's still private right now, but and then that would be good to go.
Okay, so actually this probably should stay open until we do that. I also want to add an update. Okay, so just to that issue, okay.
Well, I know where I saw it. It was on the the Node.js ecosystem page.
Okay, we should wait to land this until we clarify if using Hacker 1 for reporting.
So if you look at the link that I just posted in the chat,
Okay.
the first line or like the second paragraph in there, vulnerabilities in Node.js core should be reported at hackerone.com/Node.js or sent to security@Node.js. That's the line that confused me.
Okay, now the link, sorry, I just tried to open the link. I'm wondering if I got the right thing though here. Sorry.
The one in chat? It's for me, the hackerone.com/Node.js -ecosystem.
Yeah, okay. So but that's actually at your site, right?
That's correct. However,
Yeah.
the text
Right.
there if you see the second paragraph under policy, that's what I saw, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, no, really, because that should probably should be sent to Node.js until that's closed, unless it already has, and I just don't know, which is always totally possible. So do you know who would have updated that or provided that text?
Changed that.
Okay. So
if you
I think
click on
that's
changes at the bottom, you can see the change
right.
that was made.
Okay, so maybe I'll send him an email to say, hey, this should probably just say this until it's been formally agreed, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, no, that's important. We don't want anything like that. Okay.
All right, is that everything then for the bug bounty issue? I'll take silence as yes.
Agreed.
So that's the end of the agenda. I guess the next thing would be Q&A and upcoming meetings. So if anybody in the chat has any questions, feel free to post it now. The one thing I'm seeing is it possible for a node process to use more than 2 gigs of memory? I believe the answer to that is yes. Depending on if you're seeing any errors, I guess you might want to look into the max old space size flag.
Yeah, I believe the default is going to be less than 2 gig, but you should be able to set it larger.
And then while we wait to see if anyone else has any questions, you can check the Node.js Foundation calendar for upcoming meetings at nodejs.org/calendar. The next security working group meeting is on April 19th, 2018. And it's not looking like there's any other questions coming through on the chat, so I guess we can go ahead and wrap this up unless anyone has anything else. All right, then. Thanks, everybody, for attending, and thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Talk to you.